Hello, it is your Astro Coach, Sarah here. I'm going to go with Astro Coach for this potentially video series. This one is as a result of something that many of you heard in a couple of videos that are coming up this week. Um, and I, especially in the Pisces new moon video, I mentioned in that video that I re-recorded it because I went off on a rant and I wanted to talk about why I went into the rant and speak into it in a more constructive way. I'm also a bit more casual than usual because I can. Um, um, so if you've been following me for a while, then you know that I'm not only an astrologer, but I'm a coach. I've often referred to myself as a leadership coach. Leadership because I support people in being the leader of their life. I'm not into corporate leadership, but I am into being a leader of your life. And I went into the rant in the video that I didn't post, and um, I I said what I said because I feel like there's some people who need to hear some harsh truths. However, the way I said it in the rant was pretty harsh, pretty brash, and I think it needs to come out a certain way. Maybe not so harsh, maybe not so brash, but I do think that as one of my colleagues once told me, you can't sugarcoat an armbar. If you know me, if you know anything about me, you know I used to practice judo and jujitsu. And no, you cannot sugarcoat an armbar or chokehold or whatever. So, but I do want to talk about this topic of leadership. And astrologically speaking, we're shifting from, Neptune in Pisces to Neptune in Aries and eventually Saturn in Aries. And they're going to be there most of the summer. And while we've had all this Pisces energy, there's been this level of compassion. There's also been this opportunity to sit and stew in your sea of trauma and trauma bonding and all of those things. And, maybe you found a therapist or a coach who kind of validates your story, who, maybe your friend group keeps you in your trauma, keeps you in the complaining mode or the whining mode or the whatever. And the reality is that in a very, very short amount of time here, we're going to get a reality check about how much we're sitting in our trauma. And I think it's interesting that in the Scorpio moon video, I stated that I was frustrated because, I've been on social media for 15 years promoting personal development, promoting coaching, promoting astrology, and it's not giving me the return on investment that I wanted or that I expected. And that I'm frustrated because I don't know where to take my work. And uh, I said that because out of just relatability, I'm not immune to the energies, to the astrology that's happening. And as I'm filming this, Mars is still retrograde. He'll station direct I'm filming this on the 18th, so he'll station direct on the 23rd. But within 24 hours of me filming that video, I heard two other astrologers tell their frustrations with the same language of, I'm not sharing this because I want your pity, but because I want you to understand that I'm moving through this too. And I thought that was really important, to hear three different astrologers, myself included, talk about how we're all going through some level of frustration, and we don't want people's pity. We want people to understand that we're not immune and that we can relate, that we're all moving through something right now. And so I feel like as we move closer towards, I mean, we're already in the energy of the eclipses on March 14th and on March 29th. We're already in the energy. Neptune's looking at Aries like, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. And Saturn is going to pick up speed here. And in a couple of months, he's going to be in Aries as well. And when we get into Aries, Aries is like the warrior, the the activator, it's the war sign, and um it's the hero, right? It's the I am. And so we're going to shift from this energy of compassion, trauma bonding, swimming in the sea of a victim, into you're going to need to be your own hero and your own leader and your own warrior. And I feel like there is um there's a gap with and this is just my observation, but particularly with people in their 40s and 50s who haven't yet figured out that they're an adult now and that they're grown up and that they need to act like one. So thus the title of this video, you are a leader, so start acting like one. um because whether you see yourself as a leader or not, you have wisdom, particularly if you're older. Like I said, 40s and 50s. I did look at my demographic before I hit record, and there are, a bunch of you that are in your 30s, 40s, and 50s who consistently watch my YouTube. So, but leaders, what is leadership then? Is leadership a CEO? Is leadership a manager? Is leadership a supervisor? Not necessarily. Those are corporate terms, but I'm not in corporate and I still consider myself a leader because I have unique gifts and talents that I bring to the table, like astrology combined with coaching, right? Some coaches use human design, some coaches use Reiki, some coaches just use coaching tools. There's nothing wrong either way. And as we move further into this energy of Aries, like what type of a leader are you? And if you don't know the answer to that, then you need to fuck around and find out. And you need to, like, when we step into this Aries energy, it's going to be like you aren't going to be able to get away with, I don't understand my intuition, but you're also not practicing it 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. You don't get to say that you don't understand your intuition if you're unwilling to do the work, right? You're unwilling to practice the work. You're not going to get to say I want to run my own business, but you're unwilling to take a business class or a finance class or learn how to build a business plan or whatever. You're not willing to do that work, then your business isn't going to come together, because why are you sitting around waiting for somebody else to give you the information? Go get it. Go read a book. Go take a class. Right? Writing. Oh my God, you guys, did you know Brandon Sanderson, who's a huge like fiction world building writer, has his lectures on YouTube? I'm so excited. I don't know that I'm going to watch any of them, but it's really cool to know that they exist. Same with like, and several other authors, right? You want to write a book, you want to publish a book, go write a book, go publish a book, go take some classes on how to build a world, right? And if the methodology like that which they use is something that you can't use because you have a visual limitation or whatever, find something that works for you. Like, I feel like there's kind of a level of enough is enough. Stop acting like you can't make shit work for you because of your limitation, whatever your limitation is. Find a way to accommodate. That's what we're stepping into. Now, that's not to say that you can't have your buddy that you call once in a while and for 3 hours you bitch, gripe, complain, and rant on and air your shit about what you don't like that's going on in the world. Okay? Because we all have that. But take ownership of it and don't let that be like the thing that rules your day. If you don't like having people who have a lot of drama and have a lot of whatever going on in their life, stop communicating with them and start finding people who are going after shit. Who have goals, who have, desires. So, we are no longer going to be able to say, I don't understand how to do this. I don't understand how to do that. Whether we're talking about intuition or mediumship or astrology or running a business or crochet, knitting, sewing, all of those things. I don't understand audio or video editing. I don't understand this, that, and the other thing. Like, I don't understand those things. You don't get to say that anymore if you're unwilling to invest 10, 20, 30, 60, however many minutes and hours a day, daily, to practice those things. You want to be better at yoga? The only way you're going to get better at yoga is to do yoga. Jason Karp is a running coach. I followed him for a long time. He used to say it didn't matter how much, conditioning, strength and conditioning you did. If you don't practice running every day, you're not going to be a better runner. You're not going to be good at discipline, Jocko Willink. You're not going to be good at discipline if you don't practice discipline. Right? And if you need a couple of hype up pep talks, go follow Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. That guy will light your ass on fire. I guarantee it. He is a little bit too, he's a lot of energy, but he's really good if you need to get a fire lit under your butt to get after your shit. We are done. We're done with the victim, the trauma, the stop leaning into that story. If you want to build a relationship with God, source, universe, higher power, your higher self, your spirit team, your guardian angels, your spirit animals, if you want to build that kind of relationship and you're still telling the story about how, you don't know because you grew up in a blah blah blah, but you're unwilling to practice communicating and connecting with God, source, universe, your spirit team, your higher self, spirit guides, animal guides, all of those things, you don't get to say it anymore. That's what we're moving into. And I need y'all to step into these leadership roles because you are a leader in your own capacity, in your own flavor of leadership, whatever that looks like for you. I consider myself a leader because I'm the one who decided my mental well-being and my wellness was more important than anything else. And I was willing to do what it took to feel good in my own skin and in my own headspace. And guess what? I can tell you, my coaches have pointed out to me over the last few months as I have been moving through this frustration of like, where do I take my work? If it's not social media, then where? But and I have pointed out to my coaches, and my coaches have just affirmed it. Like, wait, you're not stewing in the self-doubt of like your work isn't good enough, because that's not how I feel anymore. But do you know how many years that has taken me to get to that point and practicing, trusting, believing in my work, that I'm a good astrologer, that I'm a good coach, that I can support people? And I have very little evidence of it because I haven't had a flow of clients in 15 years. I've had a client here and a client there. I'm not going to say I have not had clients. I have had clients. But I will tell you, it goes back to, you can't sugarcoat an armbar. You can't sugarcoat a chokehold. And I'm that coach. And most people aren't ready for this kind of a coach, because you want somebody to sugarcoat it for you. You want somebody to spoon feed you step by step by step by step. And we're moving away from that. So, like it or not, you're going to have to step up. And if you are in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, we need you to step up, because we've got younger folks out there. Whether you are a parent or not, whether you interact with young adults or not, is really irrelevant. What you do and how you heal and how you step into your leadership role is as important whether or not you have children or not. I do not currently work with children, young adults, whatever, but it is a desire that I have to work with young adults to help them learn life skills. So you need to determine or discern what flavor of leader you are. And if you don't know that, then you need to do a lot of self-discovery work or some self reflective work to come to some conclusion about it. Because I can tell you, with an Aquarius sun and a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising and a 6-2 manifesting generator, I see leadership in every single person I interact with. I see potential. I see leadership. I see, in some cases, like, a person is so prophetic, but their ego and their wounded child is in their way and they sit in their trauma bond. I see leadership. I see, like, people who would rather, like, wait around to be spoon fed. And I'm like, what the fuck? You could be like 10 steps ahead of the game. And I'm sure there's people who could say this about me. Sarah, you could be like so further along in the game. But the thing is that what I have learned about me is I'm very, very slow. Not slow as in took the small school bus to school, although I did to preschool. But what I mean is that I am slow to transform. I am slow to move the needle. And I have learned to be okay with that because it takes my mental state, because I have been through dark depression. It takes my mental state a long time to shift trajectory. Okay. But I'm also now consciously aware that it takes me a long time. I feel like I have a hair in my mouth. I'm consciously aware that it takes me a long time. So now I'm more conscious and more intentional about my practices, my meditation, my writing, my journaling, my activity, and all of those things. I'm more conscious of it, so I'm more aware of it, and I'm therefore more diligent about how I practice certain things. It's the same thing as, like, I've had chronic joint issues throughout my life, right? Since I was a teenager. Like, people who say you're too young to have back problems are full of shit, because I've had back problems since I was a teen and in my 20s. But now that I know and I understand, because I had physical therapy and I had, I've had several rounds of physical therapy. So now I know when my back and my hips act up and they hurt, I understand that, number one, it's a combination of my root chakra is out of alignment and my muscles and joints are out of alignment. So I'm the one who has to then do the proper yoga, do the proper strength training, and do the root chakra practices to stabilize my system. And this is what I'm saying to you, is that you don't know because you're unwilling to find out. Because it's easier to sit in your trauma and your victimhood than it is to find out. It's easier to go to coach to coach to coach, or therapist to therapist to therapist, and say none of the therapy is working and none of the coaching is working because you're not willing to do the damn work. This is coming out really harsh. And I want you to know that I mean it with so much love. And unfortunately, I'm an Aquarius Scorpio. I'm dark AF. I don't know how to sugarcoat things and I don't want to, is the thing. I feel like maybe that's my problem, is that I've tried so hard to be, like, nice and make it sound flowy and pretty, but it doesn't sound flowy and pretty to me. Because the best results that I have had have been from people who didn't sugarcoat it, who did remind me, hey, yo, you're in your victim. And I got to fire back and be like, yeah, and what's your point? And to take ownership of being in my victim, to allow myself to be in my victim. Because sometimes that's just where I need to be. Okay, I just need to sit and stew in it for a couple of days here. And it's okay, because I'm, conscious of it and I'm aware of it. And I know that sometimes I just need to sit in it, knowing there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. I may not see it today or tomorrow, but there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, as long as I keep allowing myself to sit here in this darkness for a second. or in this victim for a second. And guys, this is a cycle that repeats for me all the time, like almost every like the moon cycle basically. Okay? this is this is my reality. My reality is that I sit in my shit at least once a month. So, there's no like, and yet there are days when like, okay, I'm gonna sit and do my shit and I'm still gonna go to the gym and still gonna go volunteer and I'm still gonna, look at astrology charts. I may not film that day because I'm like, I'm in too much of a dark space to get it together to interpret it, well. But, you know, put this back in your court. What are you doing practicing on the regular to see and become aware of your own mental state, your own mindset? Are you integrating and implementing practices daily with interactions? When you go to the bank, are you practicing how you interact with the person at the bank? Or are you just pissed because your finances are off that day, or you're pissed because of this, that, or the other thing? Okay. I want to shift gears. Again, I don't know if this is going to be a video series or not, but I do want to say one more thing. I feel like I've said enough about like leadership. So basically, what we're shifting from is you don't get to be in your victim story anymore if you're unwilling to practice stepping into your hero and leadership story. You are a leader, start acting like one. If you don't know what flavor of leader you are, start acting like you are one so you can make some determinations. Um, I do feel like your Chiron placement may have a lot to do with what type of leader that you are. Um, so if you are born between 1976 and 1983, roughly, because 76 Chiron entered Taurus, but it did retrograde back. And I know a lot of 77-year born. So basically, if you're 42 to 49, mostly that age group has Chiron and Taurus, which is where I have Chiron, which is why I looked at that, because I'm like, it's my age group that's the problem. It's my age group that's the problem, that doesn't want to grow up, that doesn't want to step into their leadership role. But Chiron and Taurus is one thing, but what house it's in is another. And so I may do some deep dive work into Chiron in the houses, to kind of see what that looks like, and see what that looks like with Chiron in Taurus specifically through the houses, to get an idea. But also, this would be an opportunity for you to get a reading with me so that I can look at your chart. We can talk about what house Chiron is in for you, because it can kind of like Pluto, what house Pluto is in can really tell us a lot about what your soul's evolution. Uranus, what house Uranus is in, what house Neptune is in, what house Saturn is in. Like, these are things that we can get from a birth chart that can tell you a lot about what you can lean into. And I can tell you, as I'm moving through my own like Aquarius experiment, like leaning into my Saturn house and my North Node house has actually been where I've been doing a majority of the inner work for myself right now. And the inner, like what I'm actually feeling through is my Saturn North Node house, which happens to be my 11th house, which is social media groups and communities. Look at that. So, okay, I want to talk about one more thing before I sign off this video. And that is men. And I am obviously not a man. I'm no authority on men, but I am a single woman who wants to have a man. Which really has nothing to do with why I'm saying this. I'm not recruiting. So, but I do want to say that I have observed with men recently that they are really struggling And a lot of them maybe don't notice that they're struggling, don't know why they're struggling. And what I want to say is there is a lack of masculinity in men. And I'm not here to talk about gender identities and things like that. This is masculine energy in men. And I'm Venus in Capricorn, so I'm very traditional when it comes to femininity and masculinity. And I actually used to be a feminist, so I actually minored in feminist stuff, women's studies in college. So I used to be a feminist. I'm not anymore because I like men to do man things and I like women to do woman things. And yes, the two cross once in a while, but if there is a man around, I am not taking out the trash. So, and if there's a man willing to hold the door for me, that's great too. Um, so, but I'm bringing this up because we're moving into a very uncertain time and space that's potentially going to have war in some capacity if we're not already there. I do feel like we're in some kind of spiritual war. But that being said, men need to man up and take a stand. And for some men out there, I feel like that includes healing themselves, going to therapy, working through their own limitations. In a very crude way of saying it, we need men to grow some balls. Because we need men to do man things. And yes, I think women can do some man things, but I do think there are some things that men do that we need men to do. And that is standing up for women and defending us. And I know there's controversy. I realize what I'm throwing out there is like a high tense potentiality here, but this is we're heading into a lot of masculine energy from feminine energy, and I'm just going to leave it at we need men to take a stand, not in a oh, what the hell is the word, shit, not narcissist, but like not in a I can't think of the word. Mischievous, but that's not the right word. You know, somebody's already saying it in my audience, and I don't know what it is. Like macho, chauvinistic, like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like if indeed what we're stepping into is a spiritual war, then women who hold the intuition, who hold the empathy and the sensing to feel the world, then you need to be protected by something. And yes, you can do your protection spells and things like that. I understand that. And we I feel like we also need men to step into a more manly role. But a lot of men can't do that because they can't hold their own emotional shit together. This is just my observation. You can think of it as like men are acting like man children. Like they throw a temper tantrum over like the dumbest shit. Like they can't have a conversation without throwing a fit. That's what I'm talking about. Versus like a man who can, sit with his woman or sit with his gal pal even and just be with her while she's having her emotional moment or having like, whatever. And he can just sit with her and be with her and know that she just needs to move through this energy. Right. Also, there was this man on TikTok who used to post. I don't know if he does this still, but I don't follow him obviously. But he kept coming across my For You page. But every month when his woman, I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend, but every month, whenever she'd get her monthly cycle, he would go and make her like a gift basket of all of her like favorite things and like all of the cozy comforts that she might want during her cycle. That's fucking dope. Okay. That is fucking dope. Um, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it's no men knowing that they need to grow up, they need to step into their own leadership role in order to care for and protect women. Because there is a delicate balance between men and women, masculine and feminine, and we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. And like I said, this is either going to get me a ton of followers or people are going to unfollow me, and I'm okay with that. I'm very traditional. Again, I used to be a feminist. Um, and when was my wake up call on feminism? Okay, because I'm like the strong, independent woman. I can do everything. I don't need a man. Until one day I was boarding a train and I had a heavy as fuck backpack. I think I had gone to like Target or something. And I stand on this train and there's me and a bunch of other women standing and a whole bunch of men sitting with their headphones on, staring into their screens or their books or whatever. And I'm like, this is fucking backwards. And I decided that I didn't need to be that strong and independent of a woman. I needed to actually accept it when people offered me a seat when I'm carrying a bag of groceries and a backpack full of stuff. And so I started leaning more into that, accepting it when somebody held the door, accepting it when someone offered a seat, accepting it when someone wanted to take my stuff to my friend's car, whatever it was. And so I think that we need to, let men do man things. It's okay. And it's also okay that if there isn't a man around, that you're perfectly capable of taking out, of carrying your groceries. Either way. But this whole fight about, I don't need you to do it. I can do it myself. I'm an independent, strong woman. I'm an independent, strong woman. And I'm still going to accept help from the folks that that help me bring stuff up my stairs because I live on the second floor. There's no elevator in my building. So I'm perfectly happy to have people help me bring stuff upstairs. Otherwise, it would take me 5 trips. When if I have 2 or 3 people, it takes 1. So there. So anyway, I realize that's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people, and I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. But I also think there's a lot of us women out there, because I've had this conversation with a lot of women lately. I think there's a lot of women out there who are craving men to step into a man role to so that they can have conversations without the man losing his shit, so that they can have conversations and talk about finances and talk about their their partner plans, so that they can have a man who can help them with the trash and who can do the handyman things and all of that. I think that there's a lot of women out there who are craving this right now, because I can't be the only one. So that's just something to think about if you're a man listening to this video. That if you're a man who is happy to hold the door, who's happy to take out the trash, who's happy to do masculine man things, there's women out here looking for it. And I think that as we move into Aries energy, now we are going to move into so by the time we get to July, we will have Pluto in Aquarius, which is an air sign, which is masculine. We will have Neptune and Saturn in Aries, which is a masculine fire sign. We will have Uranus in Gemini, which is a air masculine sign. So we'll have a lot more masculine energy in the outer planets, where we've had feminine energy for the past 8 to 12 years. I think that we are going to really need the stability where we haven't needed stability for the past 10 or 8 or 12 years, right? We haven't needed to rely on so much stability because it's kind of been slow going. But I feel like especially as Uranus moves into Gemini in July, we're going to need stability. We're going to need it. because that much air and fire is going to be rapid paced change. And a lot of us aren't ready for that level of change. I know I'm not. I mean, I am, because I see it and I know and I understand it. And intuitively, I felt it for years. And like psychically, I have known it for a long time. I've known it's coming. But now that it's like looming, I'm just like, oh, fuck. I need to be in the right support structure so that I'm supported and I'm safe and I'm cared for. And that's where a lot of my frustration is like, I know I need to relocate because where I currently live, I don't have what I feel like I need to have for support. And that being said, I have faith in God and trust that I will have the support as I need it. But if this winter has told me anything, it's, I'm not going to get it here where I currently live. Right. I'm not. I'm not. I have had to have fights with people to go get me groceries. So, um, sorry if you just heard my phone in the background. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. I don't know if this is going to be a series. I kind of don't even know if I'm going to post this video. So, but I'm going to stop the recording. And I hope this was beneficial. I hope you got something from it. If this is something you want to hear more of from me, then just, drop me a comment and let me know and I'll post more. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here for my birthday. And I'll talk to y'all next time.